The incisive instigator, Dr. Ashley Reed, or what we have come to know her as, Ash, is one of the more interesting legends to be added to Apex Legends in recent times. She is not a legend to take lightly, and she has some very powerful and aggressive tools at her disposal. Let's kick it off with an overview of her abilities before we go over some specific tips and playstyle examples. Ash's passive ability is called Marked for Death. This has a couple cool little tricks for both her squad and herself. For starters, Ash can see on the map and minimap recently eliminated players' death boxes. These show up as skulls and will remain on the map for 3 minutes after the player is killed. Ash can also ping these markers on the map to inform her squad where the death boxes are, and a timer will show up in the kill feed of how long ago they died. The second part of her passive is the ability to mark or ping surviving attackers for both herself and the squad. If Ash walks up to a death box of a player that an alive enemy has eliminated, she can then use her interact button on that death box to ping the squad of the enemy that killed that player. Wow, what a mouthful. We will get to more on this shortly. Next is the tactical ability, Arc Snare. This is a snare that will bind up and slow down an enemy when they get too close to it. The snare will last for 5 seconds on the ground and has a 5 to 6 meter dome that will attach to players if they get too close. The snare will only attach to one enemy, and the snare will also attach if it comes into range of an enemy, even if it doesn't hit the ground. The cooldown of the snare is 25 seconds, and it seems that you can more or less throw it as far as you want. Finally, Ash's ultimate is Phase Breach. This lets her tear open a one-way portal to a targeted location. Unlike Wraith's portal, the portal is only open for 15 seconds and can travel up to 62 meters away. If you are using Phase Breach and pointing it in the air, you will just be transported to the ground. While the portal is a one-way portal, you can travel through it in that one-way direction as many times as you want in those 15 seconds. The basic way to use the ability is to pull out your sword by using your ultimate ability, aim the blue circle or arrow that is appearing on the ground, and then use your shooting button to send you flying. The ability only has a 2-minute timer, and this will let you be able to use it multiple times each match. Before we get to those playstyle examples and tips, it is important to know the role Ash is playing in the squad. Ash, in a lot of ways, has a lot of other Legends abilities packed into hers. She has some recon with her passive tracking, some ability to slow down enemies with her tactical like Watson, and her ultimate can transport the team much like Wraith. However, Ash is really more of an aggressive legend due to her ultimate. A squad that is sticking close to Ash can instantly redirect and transport around with ease. This does allow for some quicker rotations bypassing open areas or making a crazy push by using the ultimate to get height. Ash can kind of do a little bit of everything, but she really serves as the attacker and information gatherer role for the squad. As we continue, be sure to check out my pinned comment down below for any and all changes to Ash since the launch of this video. As with all legends in Apex Legends, they rarely go through major changes, and if at any point this video does become outdated, I will let you know down there. Now moving into the tips and playstyle examples, there are a ton of ways to use Ash's abilities. For starters, using the pinging of death boxes from Ash's passive is a two-way street. You can find out where enemies are with the ping, but they will also more or less know where you are at that time because an on-screen indicator will appear for them. Be mindful of this, and it might be worth waiting to ping the death box till you are ready to make a push or a rotation. Since enemies do get notified of being scanned or pinged, I encourage you to try and save the death box pinging until you are actually ready to do something with the information. You can only ping each death box once, which means you shouldn't waste it. You can tell if you can ping a box by the icon on the box. If there's a skull with a slash through it, that means there is no one to ping, as the squad is already dead, and it's not worth taking the time to use the pinging. If there's a knife on the box though, you will be able to ping an alive enemy. A big tip for the death box pinging is to wait and use the pings till you are in an active firefight. If you are able to get a second and use it in this manner, you will be able to get a real-time notification of enemies' whereabouts, which can be incredibly important in a gunfight. So once again, if you know enemies are close, wait till you're in a fight or about to shoot to ping the box. Death boxes popping up on the minimap give Ash information that no other legend can have. This information can be used to understand a few things. For one, this lets you plan out your rotations by keeping the action going all game long. After your initial landing or fight, take a look at the map and see where enemies are dying to better have an idea where to go. Second to this is the opposite, to avoid fights if needed. This information of where players are dying can better help you plan your endgame rotations. If you are entering from outside the ring and are really late in your rotation, you can understand where to move to try and avoid a sticky situation. For Ashe's tactical snare, you can really use the ability to zone control areas. The first use case is to simply catch enemies off guard or prevent pushes. Dropping your snare in a hallway or behind a door is a great 5-second deterrent to stop enemies from getting to you. This can let you get away, get a battery off, or just regroup with the squad. If they do choose to walk into the snare, they will end up getting slowed down, allowing you to continue to get away or turn around to get some shots on them. Because the snare does travel a little bit slow, you will need to anticipate enemies' movements when using it. Try your best to lead enemies when throwing it if they are in the open, or place the snare in areas where enemies will try to escape through. The snare moving slowly can actually be an advantage in the fact that you can combo the snare and a grenade together. Throw a snare at an enemy camping behind cover and then drop a grenade right there at the same time. The slower traveling snare will allow the grenade to slightly catch up, and if you time this right, it can pay off in big ways. The final thing I wanted to mention about the snare is to try and use it to catch reviving enemies off guard. If someone is reviving behind cover, send the snare out, and this could do a couple things. It could send them into a panic, stopping the revive, or it could leave them immobile, briefly allowing you to follow up again with a grenade or yourself by making a push. Do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It does help out a ton with getting the video noticed. I also stream over on Twitch if you ever have any Apex Legends questions or if you just want to chat. I truly appreciate your support. The first thing I would like to point out with Ashe's ultimate is just how quiet of an ability it is. It does have some audio, but if enemies are not closely listening, you can get a push that some will just not know that is happening. It is much less noticeable than something like a player hitting an Octane's Launchpad, Horizon's Tactical, or a Pathfinder Zipline. This brings us to our first use case scenario of her ultimate ability, and that is going to be the aggressive push. Her portal travels quickly and has a decent distance on it, but you should know that you are still pretty revealing to enemies when you are exiting the rift. It is best to plan around this. Using the portal to get high ground would be best in most scenarios, so you can then drop down on enemies, surprising them. At the very least, try to have the end of the portal be out of the enemy's line of sight. We now know that Ashe's ultimate is solid for aggressive playmaking, but it may be even more so be great for escaping out of tight situations. Using the ability for rapid escaping can't be stressed enough. The ability to escape via a height portal or just getting away can be extremely clutch, like I did here in Antenna. I knocked one enemy down, so I dropped down to pursue the second and quickly realized that this was probably a mistake, so I transported myself back up to height to stay with my team. In line with my previous tip, use Ashe's Phase Breach to transport your knocked teammates around, much like Wraith's portal to get a down teammate out. Ashe's ultimate can actually be much quicker to get your squad out of trouble and get them back up. Ashe's ultimate requires much more of a sense of urgency than other abilities in the game because her portal only lasts 15 seconds. It is best to keep in communication with the squad when you are about to use it so they can follow up with you. This means both when you are opening a fight or just trying to reposition the whole squad to reset engagements and have another go. Since the ultimate does cap out at 62 meters in distance, use this to your advantage, and make sure you aren't going to try to transport yourself somewhere that is too far away. You do not want to end up missing out on high ground or putting yourself in a tough spot just because you are too far away from your desired location and you didn't realize it. If you are unaware, a really great and sneaky tactic that you can do is to use Ashe's ultimate to breach through windows. You can place yourself and the squad into a building that does have an open window and really get the drop on enemies, or just to transport yourself into complete cover. If you are stuck in the ring, do not be afraid to use Ashe's ultimate to get a quick 62-meter jump to avoid ring damage. The 2-minute timer is pretty quick, and it might just be worth it if you are going to take massive ring damage. There's a ton of ways to use Ashe's abilities, as with most legends in Apex. Be creative and continually think of new ways to catch your enemies off guard. What legends pair up with Ashe really comes down to your specific playstyle, but here are a few recommendations for you. For starters, it hurts my soul to recommend it. This is going to be Revenant with Ashe, and to give it a try. Pop Revenant's totem, go into death phase, and then use Ashe's ultimate to rapidly transport onto a team for complete chaos. If you do this quickly enough, you can actually take Ashe's portal back a second time as well. This does require a lot of coordination though, as Ashe's portal doesn't go as far as something like Octane's pad. Beyond this, we do have Seer, or more specifically Bloodhound. Bloodhound will better let you understand enemies' locations, and this information will help you plan your ultimate pushes accordingly. Fuse might also be a great option. Combo fuses clusters with Ashe's snare to really send enemies into a frenzy. And of course, I will say that any non-movement legend will benefit from Ashe's portal, as it will help them out immensely in transportation through open areas. I do not see weaponry mattering too much for Ashe, although an emphasis on close range is an absolute must. Having something like an SMG or a shotgun after exiting her portal will be needed. Backing up your close range with something like an R301 or a longbow could be nice so you can get a pick or get some big damage and then make that push. Arena for Ashe is definitely no joke. She's absolutely a solid option, and her kit in a lot of ways is meant for aggressive playmaking, which can benefit her and the squad immensely. Get a knock, finish up the remainder of the enemies with a portal push. On top of this, snaring enemies is also unique and opens up some interesting playmaking. I will say that Ashe is still pretty new as of the making of this video, so I am not sure if she is really top tier in Arena. Legends like Gibraltar or Lifeline are quite incredible, and I do not think I would put Ashe on the same level as these legends. So where does Ashe rank in the meta of Apex Legends? I put Ashe in the same vein as Valkyrie when she launched. When Valkyrie launched, we didn't know the complete picture, but there was something special about Valkyrie that I knew was going to take a while to be seen. That being said, it's relieving to have a new legend come into the game that is not busted in terms of being overpowered, kind of like Horizon was when she came out, and a legend that is not an underperformer like Fuse was. Ashe is a solid legend who I think skill ceiling is a little bit lower than a legend like Horizon was at her launch. All that being said, she is still going to be a very good legend. Ashe for me is a top 7 legend in the game. For me, this puts her squarely in the middle of being absolutely great, but not quite brokenly good. Ashe is a refreshing legend to have implemented into Apex Legends and does bring another unique and interesting playstyle to the game that we really just didn't have before. Let me know in the comments how you are feeling about her and the new map Stormpoint. We have covered every legend in Apex Legends, so if you are interested in learning more, check out the playlist in the description down below. If you ever need someone to play with, or you just want to chat with someone about Apex Legends, hop into our community Discord. Till next time, everyone, I hope to see you live in those Twitch streams. Happy gaming, Legends.